I'd like to welcome everybody to CFIC's webinar on cybersecurity. At this point, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Amy Vethanayagam is a cybersecurity professional currently working for the City of North Vancouver. She has previously worked with IBM, providing managed security services to customers with a focus on endpoint security and threat management. Amy has an MTech degree in cybersecurity and about 9 years of work experience in the IT field. Amy also volunteers with a few organizations here in Canada, CFIC being one, and also Vantage Point and the local chapter of ISACA. Outside of work, Amy enjoys reading, playing the guitar, and also enjoying the beautiful trails near her home in Vancouver. So, Amy, go ahead.
Thank you for the kind words, Shauna, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this session on cybersecurity awareness talk. And special thanks to Shauna, Sandra, and CFIC for giving me this opportunity. In this session, we'll cover the latest threats targeting Canadian organizations and reports of internet crime from other countries, followed by why cybersecurity awareness is important, the valuable information which needs to be protected. We'll also look at some real-life incidents of social engineering and phishing attacks. And then I'll share some practical tips on how to stay safe from cyber threats at home and work, and some measures to protect your data. And we'll end with a Q&A as well. So to start off, I'd like to share this old wisdom from ancient China, which says, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. So it's from this book, The Art of War. So to make it slightly more relevant, have highlighted certain portions of so in this scenario, it would be who the attacker or the adversary is. Is it a state-sponsored actor or a cyber criminal group? Or is it a company or an individual? Or even is it like a non-human AI? So, and the second one is knowing yourself. This would refer to knowing our systems, the assets we hold, the information that we want to protect. And it's very important to know this so that we are aware of the threats around us on the internet, the scammers, the fraudsters, so that we can take informed decisions and act responsibly to protect us and our families. So this is a national cyber threat assessment as per the Canadian Centre of Cybersecurity, which is a government organization. And some of the latest threats targeting Canada and its critical infrastructure is by state adversaries. And the most affected sectors are health, energy, and government services. The primary attack type here is ransomware, which is followed by supply chain attacks and data breach incidents. And the impact is huge. So it results in service outages, loss of sensitive data, and even huge financial loss. And every year there's an increase in these incidents. And this has been like a high value target for financial and political threat actors. So who are these state adversaries? They're usually, government backed up or foreign governments that conduct malicious activities such as espionage, sabotage, and disruptions through cyber attacks. And they are very well funded and organized, and they have advanced capabilities. So they've also started becoming more sophisticated, especially with AI coming up, and they breach even the most well-defined organizations. And then we'll also look at the internet crime statistics as per the FBI. And we see how criminals here use human emotions and trust for their financial gain. The largest segment gain for the attackers lays in investment, around $716.5 million. So these scams, they prey on people's desire for financial security and the cyber criminals usually they build these trusts slowly through fake websites or through social media personas, and they also impersonate financial advisors. And they have all these fraudulent schemes to lure people. And then we have tech support scams, and which shows how a fear of losing access to some of a user's data, and people end up taking impulsive decisions, and they're tricked into believing that their device is actually compromised. And this also leads to a lot of loss of financial, data. And in the upcoming slides, we will also see why we should worry about cybersecurity, the personal security risks that we should be aware of, and some practical tips to protect ourselves at home and at work. So, why is cybersecurity important? Um, According to recent statistics, we see that a cyber attack occurs every 39 seconds, with over 4,000 cyber attacks which target individuals and businesses. And one of a data breach report in 2024, it states that most of the stolen credentials and phishing and all of that is due to human error. And so technology alone isn't enough. Most attacks succeed because of human error, lack of awareness, and that is why we need to have a zero trust mindset. So it is a word which basically means that you need to assume nothing is safe on the internet and every action needs to be verified. And we must also protect our data and our devices the same way we lock the doors to our houses. And here, strong passwords and two-factor authentication are digital locks, which help in keeping the cyber criminals out. And we will look at them in detail in the upcoming slides as well. So what do we need to protect? Everyday people are using the internet. We depend on it each time, from connecting with our friends, our families, to online shopping, or making digital transactions. We all also use social media, right, to post information and get information. And many times we clicked on URLs and attachments without verifying on a daily basis. And do we know where do we enter all our personal information when we expose it on the internet, and where does all these information go, like our email address, our date of birth, addresses? We enter it while creating a new account or while making a transaction, and these information is what is valuable to the adversaries, and it is also the digital currency. And if it is used for malicious purposes, it could pose a great risk. And that is why it is very necessary to be aware and to protect our information. And so cybersecurity is the practice of protecting our systems. Like we see here, our assets, our data, our the photos and videos that we have in our phones, in our social media accounts, and then there's sensitive information. So protecting all these is basically the practice that we have in cybersecurity. And the goal of cybersecurity is to protect these devices, these data, sensitive information, especially confidential information, or bank account details, our passwords, credit card information. So we need to protect all of these from cyber threats, which could lead, if not protected, could lead to data theft and significant financial loss. And now we'll see who do we need to protect it from. So cyber criminals aren't just lone hackers or attackers. They're usually a part of organized crimes, and they involve in phishing. They have their tactics to exploit trust and human error, which often leads to devastating financial consequences. And then we have malware. Malware is also a malicious piece of code or a program which is used to steal data from the computer. And usually the real danger lies in weak defenses. Sometimes our systems are not updated with the latest versions of software, or there's very poor patching which is done. And all of these leads to the malware thriving in the machine if not protected, and it could lead to serious risks. And then we have insider threats. We also call them disgruntled employees sometimes. So these could be our employees or our colleagues we know who have legitimate access to the system and the machines, and they could also sometimes use it maliciously. It could either be malicious or negligent or even human error. So these are there are a lots of other threats, but for our day-to-day lives, these are some things that we need to be aware of. And I will now share a few real life incidents which has happened in the past. And this is a technical support scam. So, sorry. So during the pandemic, Microsoft had reported that at least 60% of their surveyed customers had been exposed to this scam. So what is this scam? So users were browsing the internet as usual on their daily basis, and their screen would suddenly lock up and displaying an alarming pop-up with the Microsoft brand in it. And this message would falsely claim that their computer was infected with a virus, and it demanded that the user immediately call the displayed number on the screen. So the victims were pressurized to call this number, and they pretended to be a tech support, but in fact they were scammers. So once connected, these scammers would ask the victims for remote access to their computers by using legitimate tools like AnyDesk, Teams Viewer, and then they pretended to fix the issue while they installed malware and ransomware in the background. And some even asked to transfer huge amounts of money, and the victims would fall for these fake services, and this led to huge financial loss, and victims lost a lot of their savings. So this is an example of a social engineering attack where attackers use deception. And then we have phishing email. So this is another incident that happened in October 2022 in the UK. So cyber criminals, what they did is in the morning when people crave for having a nice cup of coffee, they launched this phishing email and sent to the customers impersonating Starbucks. And the email and the subject promised them these recipients free coffee lovers box. And but these emails actually contained malicious links, which led to fake websites. Basically, when the users would enter their credentials, the website was designed that the credentials would be stolen, and some of these attacks were also carried. And so, what the attackers have done is they have exploited Starbucks' popularity to trick victims into exposing sensitive information, and infecting their devices. So Action Fraud, which is a UK organization, reported that 900 cases were just reported in 2 weeks, highlighting how this scam has posed, a risk to coffee enthusiasts. So this is another example of a phishing email, and we'll see why phishing is very popular, because it is cheap and it exploits human psychology. You don't need to use technology for that. And it's easy to craft a phishing email than use technology. So attackers use this as a top method for gaining access to system and stealing data. So here are here are some tips to spot social engineering attack. So just what is social engineering is, it's a manipulation tactic where attackers trick people into giving up sensitive information, access or money, and this mainly they exploit human trust rather than technical vulnerabilities. So it's usually through emails, calls, or text. So how do we spot them? the attacker, the message that you receive, or it could be a call or a text message, the attacker usually crafts believable content, right? Like in the case of Starbucks, it looks so believable because they usually send a lot of coupons and rewards. So the attacker crafts a believable content, and then their intention is always malicious. Although it's written that there is reward, it's always malicious, and they trigger emotions like fear, excitement, curiosity, urgency, and manipulate into doing things not in the person's best interest. And this leads to financial loss, identity theft, system compromise, and also reputation loss. So this is how you spot something when you see it's suspicious. And then we also saw what phishing is. So phishing is basically an attack. It's also a social engineering attack. It is a practice of sending fraudulent communications. So in a phishing, the attacker aims to trick the receiver or the recipient into falling for a desired action. So this action could be revealing financial information or login credentials or other sensitive information. So phishing usually involves clicking links, which leads to fake URLs or websites. And this works very well, not because people are only just naive, but also because attackers are skilled at exploiting human psychology. So how do we spot phishing emails? Whenever you receive an email that looks very suspicious or something that you were not expecting, look for the sender email address, right? It may be it may look suspicious. Sometimes it may also look very legitimate, but it could be spoofed. So look for the sender email address, and also check if the message is pressurizing you to act quickly. Yeah, so I've given an example here for Microsoft.com instead of Microsoft.com. If you can see, the O is being spoofed as 0. So these are some of the tricks and tactics that the attackers use to trick us. And when we are in our daily, as usual, busy life, and people tend to miss this out. And then the message would always have a sense of urgency. So that's something that we need to look out for. And sometimes there's offers which is too good to be true. And like the Nigerian prince scam, which is an age-old scam, but it still works because it's kept evolving into different personas like lottery winnings or free gifts and coupons. So we need to be aware of that. And there's another tip that each time you receive a suspicious link, before clicking on it, just hover your mouse over the link and see if the URL is taking you to, if the URL is what it is said to be. And that is another way of not opening the link and then realizing that it is fake. So, and also many phishing emails contain awkward phrases or mistakes. So here is a phishing email. So it's just an example. So could you please spot 5 phishing flags in this email? You can feel free to drop the flags in the chat box, or you can also answer if you can find any flags here. Yes, so Mark has mentioned that Amazon is misspelled. That's correct. And the address is suspicious. Yes, it's an urgent message. The subject says that urgent, your account has been suspended. So it kind of triggers our emotion into believing it. And yes, that's a spelling mistake, you. So if you want your account, so there's a spelling mistake, and .doc is an attachment which Amazon wouldn't normally send. Yes, so you're all correct. These are all the flags, and sometimes we tend to fall for it because it has this sense of urgency in it. And there's also a link here which says update card information. Sorry. And this could also be, a malicious link. So usually when we open it, it would ask for your card details and your credentials. and you end up getting phished. So this is just an example, and thank you all for sharing the flags. So these are some of the tips to stay safe from phishing emails. Think before you click or respond. Always ask the question to yourself, is this message trying to make me rush or panic? And then also verify the source. Sometimes it seems to be really legitimate. So just contact the organization directly from a verified source and not from the link or the number in the message. Take time to verify. And also never share passwords, OTP, or confidential data over the phone, because legitimate organizations or companies or banks, they usually never ask for these information, no matter how urgent it seems. So these are some of the phishing tips. And also, what do you do if you receive one? Don't respond to it, because responding to it gives more information about your email address, your domain names, and try to report it. Most of the businesses email have the option to report it, but even otherwise you have an option to report it as spam. Try to report it and create awareness. And this is again some of the good questions that we can ask, because phishing is one of the most popular attack. You can ask these questions if to perform some introspection, interrogation, and intuition to check if this is a message, if it is from a known person, if they know me, and was this something that I was expecting. And it's always good to never trust but verify. And because you never know what a single click on a phishing URL could lead to. And it could and if you end up sharing it with others, like our families and friends, it could affect them as well. So these are some really good questions to ask ourselves. If it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So beware of such fake giveaways and coupons, and especially since we have the Christmas season coming up, the holiday season coming up, there's going to be a lot of these scams on your phones and your text messages that there's limited offers. So always verify it. And and we'll now cover deep fakes. So what are deep fakes? These are, so people use AI, or cyber criminals use AI to create such fake videos or audios, and where they look like, exactly real people. And this includes even people like our bosses, the executives, celebrities, even it could be your friend or your colleague and family members. So AI is powerful, but so are the threats that come with it. And this is a major security concern, um, because we all use AI and it helps us in, be it to summarize document or to improve our productivity and to perform automation, but it can also be maliciously used by attackers. It's basically like a double-edged sword. So attackers also use it to, generate very realistic phishing emails. They use it to clone voices and faces, which can be used in deep fake scams. And it's also used to spread false and manipulated content very quickly. So we need to be always careful of deep fakes, because it can impersonate someone you know very closely in a video or a voice message, asking for some sensitive information or money. It can also forge announcements, major announcements or video calls, and spread disinformation. So deepfakes is something that we need to be very aware of, and these are some of the safety tips to when you watch a video and think that it is not real. And if you want to identify that it's a deep fake, these are some tips that you can use. So you can check if the, certain areas in the image or the video appears blurred or pixelated. Is there change in the color and brightness of the picture or on the face? Does the audio sound very monotonous or very robotic? So we always need to be skeptical of unexpected videos or messages asking for sensitive information. And also, we need to be aware of uploading content into tools like ChatGPT. Try not to share more sensitive information or pictures or information on ChatGPT while using it. So these are some of the safety tips. And next we'll move to an important topic, which is passwords. Sorry for that. We all have several accounts, right? Be it on social media or e-commerce websites, banking applications, and email accounts. And passwords are the gatekeepers to all of these accounts. So many of you, or even I myself, we sometimes use the same passwords to log into all of these apps because it's easier, and it's easier to remember, and we don't need to forget it. We don't have to keep changing it over and over again. So we use the same password for all of the accounts. But the issue is when attackers easily guess our passwords, they get access to all of the accounts. So it is a major risk. We need to use strong passwords and passwords which are resisting to brute force and dictionary attacks. So brute forcing is basically a technique where the attackers use several attempts to trial and error methods to guess your passwords. And dictionaries, again, they use all the words in the dictionary. There's like a word list to crack your passwords. So we need to make sure that our passwords are strong, long, and complex. um, and there are lots of automated tools which the attackers can use to crack our passwords if they are not strong. So there is we have password managers. So password managers can be used to store the passwords of all the accounts that we use. And in using password managers, it saves time, and it also saves the headache of remembering all your password. You just need to remember one master password to your password manager. And so try and use, it's recommended that you use a good password manager, a trusted one like Bitwarden, 1Password. Some of these have free trial periods as well, which you can use and then pay and use it to secure your passwords and accounts. So, and also make sure to use two-factor authentication for all your accounts, including and especially for your password managers. And we will be also covering the MFA in the upcoming slide.
So
So
one question about password managers. Somebody had asked about password keepers on iPads, iPhones, and there's also one in Firefox and in other browsers as well. What's your views on how secure and useful those are?
so do you mean the passwords which are inbuilt in the browsers? I think that's what they mean. So there are inbuilt password managers as well, keepers. It's good to use. It's recommended that you use them, but the password vault, which is on the browser like Google or Microsoft, it could sometimes pose risk because if the Microsoft account or the Google account gets compromised, then all your accounts are, gone, and it's mostly stored on the web. Uh, so it's always recommended that you use a trusted password manager like Bitwarden or 1Password. But if your mobile phones, iPads have password keepers, it is recommended that you can use them as well.
Thank you.
And when setting passwords, this is just a quick question. Which of these following passwords do you consider to be the most secure? Experts usually tell people not to use passwords with your name and email and birth year, but try using long phrases, long phrases like the blue ocean floor. So these are some things which we can remember, but also make sure you use a mix of both uppercase, lowercase numbers and alphanumeric characters. So in this the most easiest would be having your dog name and 123, and but the most secure password would be the option C, which is something that the attackers would not be able to crack it easily, and it would take, even if they try, it would take millions and millions of years to crack it. Moving on to MFA. So what is multi-factor authentication? So it's a security process that requires us to provide 2 or more verification factors. And so instead of only relying on one means like a password, MFA uses different types of credentials. So why is this important? It's important that even if your password is stolen or even if it's compromised, attackers cannot log in without the second factor. And the second factor could be an OTP, or it could be a fingerprint or biometric scanner. So it's important because of its stronger security layer. And it's also, it protects sensitive information. Most of our bank accounts require us to set up MFA. So, and even for our email accounts, it's very good that we implement this, not just email, even our Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts. These are very vulnerable to attack. So it's very important that we implement these. And also some companies and industries require it as per their compliance and their security regulations. So it's important that we implement it. So MFA it includes something which could be a password, PIN, and then it is something you have, and it could be the OTP on your smartphone or from the authenticator app, and then something that you are, which could be your fingerprint or your facial recognition. So a combination of all of this would be a multi-factor authentication. So how do we implement this? We have some very trusted apps like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, or even Duo. These can be downloaded, and we can just scan the QR code, which is given from our organization or our businesses. And that is all that we need to do. And it would generate a token or an OTP every 30 seconds. So this is just an extra layer of security, and a lot of people and companies have implemented this and found it to be successful. So it's very important that we do it as well for our own personal accounts. This is just some facts that 81% of data breaches used stolen or weak passwords, because when our passwords are weak and stolen, attackers, what happens is in the background, they sell it on the dark web, and we'll also get to see if our accounts are safe in some of the tools in the upcoming slide. So 81% of data breaches use these stolen and weak passwords. So creating strong passwords is the number one, and having a good password managers saves a lot of time. But it's also important that you install a good software manager, a trusted one, and not something which can be, which is breached or which has been compromised in the past. So these are some tools that you can use. I would be showing you from my screen, but if you have your laptops or your mobile phones with you, you can log into it and also check. So the first one is called Have I Been Pawned? So this is a website where you can check if your email address has been exposed in a data breach. If you get to see that it has been breached, it's recommended that you immediately change all your passwords and you implement an extra layer of security like an MFA, or you could even, that's the best solution for that. And most of us are not aware as well, but this is one of the tools that we can use to check if our email is exposed in the internet or exposed to a data breach. The second one is whois.com. So this is another website that you can use to check if a domain name is real or if it has just been created to, spoof someone. And you can also check the age of the domain and some of the contact information. And then we have another spam and phishing prevention tool here. It's called Temp Email Generator. I don't use it very often, but so it's basically when we go shopping, or when we are trying to subscribe to a vendor website, they ask you to enter your email address to, just for a verification purpose. And then later you start receiving a lot of spam marketing emails. So to just save yourself the trouble, this is an option to just, generate a fake email address here, and you can just share it on the website, and you will be getting your email, the OTP, or whatever verification links that you have, and you can again discard it. You don't have to share your original email address. So this is just a temporary email generator. So these are some verification tools, but there are lots of other tools also which you can use to verify uh, and keep your accounts safe and your emails and all of that safe. These are some of the personal safety tips for mobile devices. Always be careful before downloading a new app. Do a quick review check for the contact information. Do they have legitimate contact information given on their website? And beware of shopping apps that promise huge discounts or offers that are too good to be true. Do a thorough investigation and always think before clicking on URLs or documents which have been forwarded on WhatsApp, because we never know what it contains. And also, banks do not request for personal information through unknown numbers, so always report it as fraud and refrain from sharing more information. And then we have digital footprint. So basically, digital footprint is the data that you create while using the internet. So each time we log into a website, we enter all our, it asks us to log in, and we enter all our details. So it's basically the trail of data that you leave behind each time you go online. And so much of it is stored, tracked, and sometimes even exploited without our knowledge. So protecting that means being very intentional about what you share or interact on digital platform. So sometimes we actively or passively leave a lot of information online. These are the active are our posts, comments, email addresses, online purchases, form submissions, and I mean, it's not wrong to do this, but these are all just, we need to be careful of what we put in. And the passive could be our location data and cookies, device info, and all of these are sometimes collected without our knowledge, because we consent to, a lot of agreements, terms and conditions, and we don't know if our data is being used, whether it's sent to third-party processors or vendors, or if it's even sold. So it's often collected without our direct input as well. So every click, search, and scroll contributes to our online identity, which can be used by advertisers, data brokers, and also cyber criminals. So we need to be very careful of what we share on the internet. And this is the last slide, which has a quote which says, "As the world is increasingly interconnected, everyone shares the responsibility of securing the cyberspace." So cybersecurity is a shared responsibilities, because it's not just based on a single person or a single organization or a technology. We it just cannot protect the digital systems alone, but it requires everyone. It requires all of us. It requires all of the businesses, the governments, and the technology providers. They all play a role in keeping our data safe. And it is a shared responsibility, because one weak link, or one compromised user account, or one vulnerable third-party vendor could expose an entire network. And all of us could be affected. Like examples we've heard and have seen of examples on social media, especially just because we receive a message from a friend or a family member asking for sensitive information or money or information, we just blindly trust, and it goes on to affect other people. We share images and links without even verifying. So cyber attacks are often spread quickly across systems. So what affects one user can ripple and affect people outside as well. And when we each take responsibility, we stay informed and we stay protected. So let's be responsible and let's stay cyber safe.